Tiffany Hayes was just a victim. Now we know that Caitlin Clark liked to talk smack and do her thing, but what athlete don't talk smack when they hot on fire? And then you keep poking a bear. Like, why keep poking a bear? Now, mind you, they got to play the Valkyries again this upcoming Wednesday. Now, Caitlin Clark is at the Indy 500. Look like she's not tripping off none of this stuff involving Tiffany Hayes. She has not spoke about it. She has not tweeted about it. She is minding her own business, taking pictures with babies out there being.
After everything that unfolded publicly with the hot mic incident, most people expected Tiffany Hayes to step back and let the situation cool down. That did not happen. Instead, Hayes jumped onto social media, engaging in back-and-forth arguments with Caitlin Clark supporters while continuing to take indirect shots at Clark and her followers. The situation is escalating rapidly, and from an outside perspective, the WNBA needs to step in. Freedom of expression has its place, but the moment it crosses into threatening territory, a firm boundary must be drawn. Right now, Caitlin Clark appears to be a direct target, and the core reason seems to be nothing more than the fact that she is performing exceptionally well this season. All of this negativity traces back to Clark dominating on the court. To be fair, Hayes found herself in an uncomfortable spot during the game.
And the Grand Marshal, well, the best Grand Marshal ever. Thousands of people walking up to get her autograph. But instead, we got this hate speech coming out of the pipeline in regards to Tiffany Hayes. Something has to be done, bro. Something has to be done. Now, let's pull it up online. Y'all see
Clark is known for being vocal and competitive on the floor, and continuously provoking someone who is playing at that level is never a smart move. The two teams are scheduled to meet again that same week. Yet Clark was spotted at the Indianapolis 500, serving as Grand Marshal, completely unbothered. She has not addressed the situation publicly, not a single post or comment. Thousands of people lined up for her autograph while she posed for photos and enjoyed the event. Meanwhile, the wave of hostility surrounding Hayes continued building online. Clark was simply going about her life, while her name stayed in other people's conversations. With a game on the schedule, attention should have been on preparation, not online disputes with fans. Yet Hayes was spotted in heated exchanges on social media, fueling more drama instead of focusing on the upcoming match.
Y'all see Caitlin out here living her best life, and for the life of me, they got Caitlin Clark name in their mouth. Why is that? Ain't like, don't the Valkyries got a game tomorrow? And like, people make it seem like, oh my God, y'all always be in stands. Y'all always take Caitlin Clark literally be minding her own business, bro. Because I damn sure believe the Valkyries got a game. So instead of Tiffany Hayes worrying about this game against the Sun tomorrow, she's online.
Some of the posts circulating raised serious concerns. One comment that gained attention read, "Listen, I got some cousins we don't speak about that will ride at dawn upon request." Hayes responded to that comment with "That's real," followed by a laughing emoji. That response set off a wave of outrage. On various platforms, people pointed out the contradiction between the WNBA's public messaging around its no-hate campaign and the league's silence on a player openly validating what many interpreted as a threatening statement. Calls were made for the league office to respond, with some going further and suggesting federal authorities should be contacted, given the nature of the language used. The original hot mic moment that started everything involved, Hayes appearing to suggest that Clark would never get the chance to play freely because Referees never call fouls in her favor. That clip spread quickly and became the spark for all of the back and forth that followed.
Against the Sun tomorrow, she's online having heated debates with fans, antagonizing and pretty much starting drama with fans online. Let me pull up these tweets right now, man, so we could get to the meat and potatoes. So this popped up online. Let me blow this up. It's now let's read some of these tweets. It says, I talk ish because you're never on my teams, but I'm always ready to support you.
Since then, Hayes has not stepped back from the conflict, but instead leaned further into it. Footage from the actual game showed the competitive tension between the two players clearly. Clark was visibly getting the better of Hayes throughout the matchup, at one point calling her out directly on the court. That competitive edge on the floor apparently carried over into the digital space afterward, just not in any productive direction. Fans of Clark flooded the league's complaint channels and reportedly contacted outside authorities as well. Comments online ranged from frustration to outright anger, with many pointing out that liking posts that reference harm toward another player goes well beyond normal sports rivalry. The sentiment shared widely was that if the league fails to protect Clark and something serious happens, the consequences for the organization could be severe. The overarching concern being raised is straightforward. What was once competitive tension has shifted into something that looks a lot more like coordinated hostility, and the league's response, or lack of one, will say a great deal about where it stands.
You're never on my teams, but I'm always ready to support you or crash out. LOL, that's fair. Your composure was so much better than mine. I would have been, I tell you that. My growth is a gift and a curse, but mostly a gift. What were we ready to take up collections if they tried to find you and everything, my peeps? What the hell? Someone say, listen, I got some cousins we don't speak about that will ride at dawn upon request. Just let me know.
The ongoing situation between Tiffany Hayes and Caitlin Clark has moved far past what happened during the actual game. Whatever took place on the court, whatever started the dispute, none of that is the real concern anymore. What happened in the 24 hours that followed is a completely separate problem, one that the NBA cannot afford to ignore. A suspension has to happen, not a fine. A suspension. The league needs to draw a clear line. And the only way to do that is to make an example out of this moment. It does not matter that it is early in the season.
Upon request, just let me know. Tiffany Hayes says, that's real? What the fuck? Let's read some of the comments up on the correlation page before we go to Tiffany Hayes' X account. It says, none of these people give a ish about Caitlin Clark. They just hate Caitlin. So much for the No Space for Hate campaign. I guess the WNBA and WNBA-PA, Kathy Engelbert, are all okay with actual players saying that's real to someone offering to ride or die.
The Los SSS are going to reach the playoffs regardless. One game, or
someone offering to ride or die. To ride at dawn sounds like a threat. WNBA action need to be taken. Are we back at promoting violence, or should we involve the NBI? Now, I told y'all, man, I still believe the Department of Justice need to be involved. The federal law need to be handed down to these WNBA players, man, because we all know, for whatever reason.
But then came the responses a post surfaced. One that appeared to have been written after the game, though the timestamps created some confusion. Caitlin Clark, that post alone would be alarming in any context. Then there were the replies from fans telling Hayes they were ready to support her crash out. Language that, in context, pointed towards something physical. And Hayes engaged with these posts, responding warmly, liking comments, and in one particularly serious case, responding with the words "that's real" to a fan who wrote about having relatives, people they claimed not to speak about openly, who could pull up on someone. That is where the lines gets crossed, even if the fan was joking. And there is every reason to believe they were. That does not matter. The mathematics of social media mean that behind any joke account, there is a statistical chance that the person typing the words is completely serious.
NBA players, man, because we all know, for whatever reason, they ain't used to all of this. I guess they think this life is sweet and they ain't used to all this, but this is how we got here, right? So we all remember this hot mic moment. I reported on this yesterday. If you guys did not see the video, I highly recommend you go look at it.
If I did, she would never get to play any games. No questions? I'll ask. What? If I did.
Now, she started this off by basically
Caitlin Clark has already had a confirmed stalker. That person was tracked, identified, and arrested after following her. The idea that everyone who posts threatening language is simply being dramatic is not a luxury that public figures can afford, especially ones who already have a documented history of being targeted. When a professional athlete, even jokingly or casually, responds to a stranger's threat against another professional athlete with encouragement, that's real. I'm with y'all. Anything along those lines. That is the equivalent of providing a signal. To the 90% of people who are joking, it means nothing. To the small fraction who are not, it can mean everything. That fraction is the problem. That fraction is always the problem.
Next game. So, obviously, there have been threats of violence against Caitlin Clark on threads. There have been a lot of threats of violence against Caitlin Clark in the name of Tiffany Hayes. Like, that is something that is obvious. There have been threats of violence. Like, everybody knows that there have been threats of violence. Like, we talked about that. And yes, they are crazy people on threads. I understand that. People can be, crazy on threads and do that.
The comparison holds up clearly when applied to other leagues. If an NBA player, take any high-profile name with an already complicated public reputation, responded to a fan posting about sending people to physically hurt another NBA player with "that's real," the consequences would be immediate and severe. The remainder of the season would likely be gone. There would be no debate about whether the fan was joking. The league would act because it would understand that the act of engaging with that content, validating it, is itself the violation. The NBA has not done that here, and the failure to act creates a precedent that the opposite behavior is tolerable, that players can wade into those waters without consequence, that the league either does not notice or does not care enough to respond. There is also a broader cultural element at work.
Easy on threads and do that. And this is the first thing. And you can look past this. So obviously, with the way the hours match up, the tweet that says 2 hours ago was posted hours before. So obviously, look, this was posted immediately after the game. This was posted a day later. So obviously 2-3 hours that match up. But I really need a coach to take one for the team, put their dev players to give Caitlin Clark taste of their own medicine. And they have to be white. Also, coach needs to sign a dev player to injure Caitlin Clark.
Anti-Caitlin Clark sentiment has, in certain spaces, been framed as a form of solidarity, a kind of social allegiance. That framing is dangerous because it gives cover to extreme behavior under the banner of a cause. When that dynamic exists, the number of people willing to move from angry words to real action becomes harder to predict. Extremism on any side of any debate produces outliers. Those outliers are the ones who need to believe that a player, by responding positively to a threat, has given them a kind of permission. None of this requires believing that Tiffany Hayes wants Caitlin Clark to be hurt. That is almost certainly not the case.
Also, you have to, basically, coach needs to sign a dev player to injure Caitlin Clark. But there were loads of threats of violence against Caitlin, and Tip Hayes says, "Law, I fuck with y'all." When a whole bunch of people basically, and again, a whole bunch of people basically saying, we'll fight her on your behalf. You should have fought her. I fuck with y'all. And then, this is the worst part about it. So, this one here. Someone saying, I was ready to support your crash out. That's fair. And again, by crash out, the two of them getting into it was...
The intent behind her social media activity was probably nothing more than blowing off steam after a tense game and enjoying the loyalty of supportive fans. That reading is likely accurate, but intent is not the only thing that matters when the safety of another person is on the line. Doxius have reach that intentions cannot control. The WNBA's credibility on this issue is already fragile. When Clark's stalker situation became public, the media conversation around it somehow shifted toward criticism of Clark for not speaking out more loudly, rather than focusing on the safety failure itself. That reaction set a troubling baseline.
Not considered a crash out. So what was the extended step of that? We all know we can put 2 and 2 together, but you're not going to suspend someone for this. But we can put 2 and 2 together and say that the step forward for Tiffany Hayes is to go at Caitlin Clark, is to start a brawl. And she didn't. She just shit talked for the entire game. And it is what it is. The game is over. The game should be over. This is the next day. I was ready to support your crash out, capital. Basically, someone saying I was ready to support you punching her. But
failing to act on this situation.
But this is not what they said. This is what I'm taking from it. It might be different. So you're not suspending her for this, but this is a bad look. This is just a bad look. Lol, that's fair. Your composure was so much better than mine would have been. My growth is a gift, but a curse, but mostly a gift. We were ready to take up collections. They try to find you and everything. My peeps. She shouldn't be fined. She should be suspended. This is what should suspend her. Listen, I got some cousins we don't speak about that will riot at dawn upon request. Just let me know. This is a fucking threat at Caitlin Clark. That's real. This is a literal, obviously, they might be joking. I don't know who this person is. Tiffany Hayes doesn't know who this person is. If someone is even joking about threatening to get people that they don't speak about to pull up on another human being and you laugh about it and say that's real, that is laughing. That is responding with that's real to a threat. That is, if this person, you hope there's a 90% chance that this person's taking the piss. There is a 90% chance. But if there is on the 10%, chance, there's on the even fraction of a percentage chance that this person's legit, and Tiffany Hayes has essentially said, yeah, go for it. Nobody knows. This is a random fan account. This could be literally anybody. This is fucking inciting violence against another player. And again, I don't think Tiffany Hayes wants violence against Caitlin Clark. I don't think she does. I don't think that the person is being serious. I don't think that the person is being serious in the message. It doesn't matter on the slight chance they are being serious. I'm sorry, there are enough unhinged people in the world. That there's always a fraction of a percentage chance that you are speaking online to a fucking crazy person, and that crazy person is not joking about sending people out to hurt another player. There's always a chance of that. Is it going to take a Monica Seles situation before the WNBA steps in? She needs to be suspended right now. And again,